it's Sue from Snake River Stamping. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome. Monday, October 6th, 2025. I can't believe it. It just seems like time's going so quickly. Everything around here is in full swing with our fall activities, with all our grandkids. We have one in football, one in soccer, one doing fall basketball, so we have lots of things to go to. I don't know about you, but all the things get started, and I started leading my small group at church, and I attend another one at church, and so it just seems like almost every day, every evening, I'm busy with lots of things, and I know you are too. So welcome today. Thank you for making time for me and for the class that we're going to do today. I have a ton of announcements, and I'm going to go through them as quickly as I can because I know some of them might be of interest to you. So I'll switch the camera down real quickly, and we will go through the announcements, and we will get started on our class today. So last week I told you our best starter kit ever in the whole history of Stampin' Up! Is being offered this month, October, from October 1st to the October 31st. So you have a choice if you would like to join Stampin' Up! And joining Stampin' Up! Does not mean that you have to teach classes, go do videos, or any of that. It only means you're joining Stampin' Up! And you are taking advantage of the things that they have to offer, like being a savvy shopper and getting a discount. And I did that for a long time myself before I decided to start sharing and doing a little bit more with it. And it's a wonderful, wonderful way. The company is really easy to work with, and I can't recommend it enough. So our usual joining special is $99 and you get $125 worth of product. But this month only, for only $35, you can choose $125 in product, all of your own choosing, when you join Stampin' Up! And I would love it if you would choose me as your demonstrator and sign up under me. That would be wonderful. It's just a great opportunity. If you have any trouble with the paperwork or anything filling it out online, you can give me a call. My information is below me if I'm on YouTube, and above me if you're watching me on Facebook. Now, if you would like to increase that threshold and go with the $99, then you get $189 of product. Now, both of these, you get about $90 of free product. Okay, for the price. For the $35, you get $90, and for the $99, you get $189. So it's about $90 of absolutely free product. And on this shipment only, they pay the shipping cost, which shipping costs a lot, right? I always cringe when I look at the shipping cost. So they pay for this special. They pay for that. The shipping cost is included. And they throw in a paper pumpkin kit. It's going to be an older one that they have laying around, but they'll throw in a paper pumpkin kit to let you know what that looks like, and a few other benefits. They are very generous with their benefits, and they ask us to order $300 in product every quarter, but when you first join, you get 2 quarters to spend that $300. And I know a lot of you spend $100 a month anyway, and you could start getting that discount right away. And on your very next order, you do the special, and on your very next order, you're in, and you start getting your 20% discount, which is fabulous. Plus, you get your Stampin' Rewards and all the other benefits. None of those benefits are denied to you just because you've joined Stampin' Up! So I really, encourage you to think about that. You have the month to think about it, but it's a really great opportunity. Another great thing that's coming around, and you can use your 20% discount on this too, is we're having a kit sale starting today. all of our kits, with the exclusion of paper pumpkin, those aren't included. But all of our kits in our kits page um, are on special, and they're up to 30% off. They start about 10% off and go to 30. Some are 30. You know, so 10 to 30% off. So if you like kits, I love kits. In fact, I'm doing a kit class at my church later this, well, probably November, because October is really full. But I'm going to be doing a kit class, and believe me, I'm ordering those kits on these 3 days so I can get a better price on them. So I get up to 30% off, plus I get my discount, so it makes it really reasonable. Another offer they have is the 12 Days of Crafting Advent Calendar, and this is $99. And I think you can put this in your kit. I believe you can. If you join, you can put this in your kit. Anyway, they have 12 different little doors in this, and it's quite a large kit. I believe they said that the products are worth over $125 retail, so you're paying $99 for it. This is the ordering number 167335. I think I included it in the link, maybe, in my description, but it looks Christmas themed, but the items are not Christmas themed. They're you know, everyday, all occasion card themed, and but they all go together. Okay. And oh, if you want to see what's in the kit, there are several demonstrators on YouTube that are showing the kit. Just type in this 12 Days of Crafting Advent Calendar thing, and if you would like to see everything in the kit, you can. Okay. This is something new also. It's a live craft class offered on October 23rd at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 1 p.m. Pacific Time, which is where I live. This is a crafting class. You have to order it. It costs $30. It's going to feature the Traditions of Christmas Sweet collection. So the class, if you'd like to order that, you can go online, and I think I have a link for this one. 170073 is the item number, and if you don't have the Traditions of Christmas Sweet collection yet, it's 165877, and I've featured that kit myself a few times, and I'm probably going to feature it a few times more because I just love it. This is an example of the paper, and these are little peeks of the cards that they're going to do. And once you purchase this class kit, and it's a virtual purchase, you will have a PDF that will go with it. You will have unlimited access to the class, so you can watch it over and over again. You know, if you forget or you want to do something again, you know, it's very, very inclusive. So it's just a wonderful thing. They give you a supply list. I'm not going to read all this, but a lot of it's the things that you have, like some ink and some paper, some tools, some adhesive, you know, things like that. Don't forget, under the specials tab is the last chance products, and they just put everyday arches, which I love, on the last chance list. There's a lot of things that are for, you know, on sale, an additional sale, and plus if you join, get an additional 20% off of that. Don't forget to look for the online exclusives. There's a lot of things in the online exclusives, like the Elegant Pine Snowflake Suite, which I love, and I've featured that too recently in a card class. That's under your menu tab. Okay, so don't forget that. Paper Pumpkin. You have to subscribe by the 10th of the month. Today's October 6th, so if you want the October Paper Pumpkin, which is going to be called Cozy Christmas, you need to subscribe by October 10th, okay? By October 10th. In November, Wrapped in Cheer, that also sounds fairly Christmassy to me, by November 10th, sign up for that. And for the December kit, it's called Watercolor and Bloom. Sign up by December 10th. Now they also have additional dies if you would like to add those on to your kit. Now my October specials, I changed them a little bit. $20, of course, you start earning Stampin' Rewards. $40, you get my card kits for this month, featuring the beautiful Autumn Toile, and I forgot to write this one down, but also the Christmas, the Traditions of Christmas. And I was going to show you the card kit, what you would get, for instance, the Autumn Toile. You will get a die cut. This is out of the tree. Did I pull that? Maybe not. Let me see. Just had it because I was working with it last night. There it is. It's a good thing you can't see over here. Okay, it features the autumn trees, and you're going to do this big tree. I cut this tree for you, and I'm gonna do a little video or a PDF. I've already done the PDF, and I'm thinking maybe I'll do a video of how to color the tree. And you get some background paper. You get this piece cut out of the branching out dies that goes behind the tree. You do have to have your own stamps and your own ink to complete this, but I do all the cutting out of this bundle for you to make this set. And then your trees will look like this when you're done coloring them. Okay, so you're going to get 2 trees. This one's not finished because I don't have the gems or the sentiment on it yet. But you'll get a piece to go inside that you can stamp. You know, so you'll get 2 of these. It'll look something like that when it comes to you. Okay. And then you'll get 2 of the Traditions of Christmas. And all of this stuff will be cut. You have to be able to stamp though, okay? But I will cut this beautiful piece. I will cut the gold branches. I will cut the little green holly. I will even include some gems. There's a background piece on here. This is in real red. It's really hard to see. But I will emboss it for you. I'll give you a piece of white to go on the inside, but you'll get two of these cards, and you will get 2 of these cards. There'll be 4 cards in the kit. All right, 2 and 2, 2 Christmas, 2 fall. That's what you'll get in your card kit. Okay, put all that to the side. And you get your stamp rent, $75. You get those card kits I just talked to you, a PDF for another card that I probably just threw on the floor. It's a Christmas card. You'll get a free PDF for another card kit featuring the Traditions of Christmas. You'll get some gems. You'll get your Stampin' Rewards. Okay? Yeah, it features Traditions of Christmas. And remember, all qualifying orders at these thresholds are before tax, before shipping, any coupons or redeemed Stampin' Rewards that you might have. Okay? So, and I think you're all pretty familiar with that. All right, I just wanted to review real quickly. Last week, we made these really adorable little pumpkin cards. Whoops, that's a piece of a pumpkin card. We made these little pumpkin cards. We were using the stamp. I was using the stamp set that came in last month's September paper pumpkin, because they had the cutest little pumpkins and we colored them and stuff. and we made little pumpkin patches using the torn paper technique with the two-tone paper, and that was really fun. You can go back to last week, September 28th, maybe, or what was it? I don't know. Anyway, last week. That was that class. Okay? So, this week we are featuring A Child is Born, and this is a really simple looking stamp set. And it's easy to look, to be drawn to all the beautiful gold and fancy stuff that they have going on, but this stamp set makes really beautiful cards. And I have some, let me see my pieces and parts here. There's so much stuffed in this envelope. This is what I want to use. Now this is the one that I advertised on my Facebook page. And I did one coloring technique on this. And then last night, I got this bright idea. Some other ones. I wonder where the bright idea is. Maybe there it is. Okay, there it is. I got the bright idea that maybe I should emboss the figures and then do the painting technique I'm going to show you. So I'm actually going to do both of these, I think, today. I'm not going to put them both together, but I'm going to do both techniques to show you. Because the embossing, I embossed with a copper color, because I thought it kind of, because on my WOW embossing powders, I have black, clear, white, silver, copper, and gold. Gold would have probably looked good too. I almost used gold, but I decided on copper to emboss it. So this is what we're going to focus on today, and I have all the pieces and parts. We're also using branching out dies, and I have that linked in my description for you. And we're going to use some watercolor pencils, okay? And we're going to use some alcohol markers and some ink today, okay? So, what I've got here, I think everything fell out of my envelope, which, I do have everything typed up, so if you don't get all of these items as I'm going through them, don't worry. At the end, I better put this over here. It's right here. I'm going to remember to show that to you. So we start off with a card base. There we go. I started off with an early espresso card base, 8.5 by 5.5. So 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4 of early espresso. Then I put on some DSP. This is out of the Autumn Toile paper. It has the little green and white pheasants on the back, but I liked this pattern. And this card is actually going to go landscape, okay, to have enough room, and that's going to go on top of it. For the background, that's layer number 1, and that's 5 1/4 by 4. And then you need 2 pieces to make the image, the focal point. You need 5.5 by 4.5. 4 1/4, excuse me, 5.5 by 4 1/4 to cut the branching out die number 1. It's the largest die that I was showing you. I threw those to the side, I guess. Anyway, I showed them to you just a minute ago. It's the largest one, and I have one cut out for you already. And then you need about 5.5 by 4 to use branching out die number 2, and this is in crumb cake. And I have those already cut for us. So this is branching out die number 1. That's the largest one. It's going to go in the background. And then what we're going to be working on is the crumb cake. Oh, we need in the inside 5 by 3 3/4. That's going to go on the inside. And maybe I'll do that. Just a second. Let me put that on the inside. So we have those pieces, but I've already cut them out, and I cut 2 of these because, like I said, I'm going to do 2 different techniques on this. Okay, let's look at the inside first and just kind of take care of that first. And on my sample that I lost already, oh, there it is. Oh, I didn't put the inside. Okay, this is going to go on the inside. So there's different images in this set, and I'm going to pull one of these sentiments, and I'm going to probably use the larger, maybe the small, I don't know, the sheep on the inside, because on the outside I'm going to use Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus, and I'll put a sentiment on the outside. So I'm just going to use early espresso because that will show up nicely on the crumb cake. And these are photopolymer stamps, which means they stamp a little better when we put them on a cushion. And I have these little Stampin' Up! Pierced mats that work really well. So I'm just going to stamp up a little bit. Oh, come let us adore him. Okay. And I am going to choose, let me see, oh, that's really too big. I'm going to put the baby sheep on there. The big sheep's a little too big for what I want on the inside. So I'm just going to put this little baby sheep just right down here beside this sentiment. And that's my inside. That's it. So then I have room to write a little bit on the card, but not a lot. I mean, but a little bit. I have a little bit of room to write on that. Now there's some stars. They would also look nice. They have a couple different star patterns over there. Okay, so that I am just going to use a little seal and place that on the inside of my card so I don't forget to do it like I forgot to do it on those other 2. And I do like to use seal when I do the inside of a card because it does dry really flat and easy to write on. Okay, so my early espresso, all I have to do is glue this on the front. You can use seal, you can use glue, whatever your adhesive of choice is. I use a little bit of both, but when I want to be able to slip things around, I usually use the glue because it gives me a little more flexibility on that. And like I said, this is out of the Autumn Toile designer series paper for my background. Okay. And this is going to be popped up, so I'm not going to put this on quite yet. That's going to be my next layer, is this early espresso, the largest branching out die. Now what I have are these two, and like I said, I have two different methods. Now when I stamped this one, I stamped crumb cake on crumb cake. When I did the sentiment, I used early espresso because I wanted that to show up, but I didn't want this to show up quite that dark underneath the painting technique I'm going to share with you. So I have my crumb cake. Move that one. And when I have a big stamp, I usually turn it upside down and stamp my, use my ink to stamp it up really good. And I'm going to stamp it a little bit to the right side because I want to leave room for that sentiment. But I do want that to show up. Now on this size, I want Joseph's head's going to be right at the top, and Mary's knees are going to be a little bit off, but off the bottom, but that's okay. Okay, there we go, perfect. Now you see that's very light. But that's what I want, is very light. Okay. And I'm going to go over here to my Stampin' Scrub and get that off because I'm going to put some different ink on the other one. Okay. I'm going to let that dry just a little bit. Now, what I did with the hair on this one, on this card, is I did two things. I used some pecan pie, and I used a Stampin' Blend. This is light pecan pie, and I went through and I colored the hair on both of them with the pecan pie. I'm pretty sure Mary and Joseph were not blondes, so I use a little bit of pecan pie, and I'm going to leave a little highlights on there. His hair is a little bit harder to color because there's not a lot of it. And then his beard, and his mouth is in there. They put like a mouth. I mean, you see that they don't have faces on them, you know, and that's intentional. And I've seen some people put faces on, and I didn't think it looked very good. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of that. Now, oh, she's got more hair than that. A little bit here and a little bit down here. Almost forgot. Okay. So then, to soften up the hair and make it look, you know, just a little more gentle, I use my watercolor pencils, which are very soft pencils. They're a little different than regular colored pencils. And I'm going to go in with Early Espresso. Now that's a little darker. And I'm going to color in much of her hair with that Early Espresso in his, because it softens that alcohol marker up. And I'm not sure you can see it on the camera, but you can definitely see it in person. And I'll hold it up in just a second. I just go over that a little bit And that really, I like the effect. You can make some highlights in the hair, and you can see that it just softens it up a little bit, putting that watercolor pencil on top of an alcohol marker. You need to put the alcohol marker first and then the watercolor pencil. So then, now comes for the technique. Now you can use, I tried using watercolor pencils and regular colored pencils to do the white. None of it turns out very white when you do that. And I wanted the white to show up, okay? I wanted that to show up. So what comes in handy is your white ink pad, your craft ink pad. And white craft ink is pigment ink. It's different than our other inks. And it's thicker, it's more permanent. I'm just going to use this block as a palette. I could put this, if you don't have blocks that are available for palettes, you can always open your ink pad and use the lid as a palette. And it just shuts and it stays just fine. This will actually last quite some time. Okay, now I need my Stella. Oh, I need some water. I have a lid on my water because I spill my water. And I'm going to put some Stella. I'm going to squeeze my pen, and I'm going to put, I have another one if this doesn't have enough because I've been using it a lot lately. Oh, there's a big drop. Good. I want to mix my Stella with my white because I want them to be a little bit shimmery. And you'll notice that I have the baby Jesus a little lighter and real shimmery, and they're a little bit shimmery because I'm going to mix these two together. And I take my paintbrush, and it's also a good idea to have a paper towel to do this. And I am going to mix some water in my white pigment ink, and I'm going to draw in some Stella into that paint, into that pigment ink. Okay, and you'll notice that I'm going to paint right over everything. But it's going to dry so that you can see those lines of their clothing and things through the white. Even though it looks like you can't at first, it will dry. You see it's already starting to dry. And I'm just going to paint all of them in a little more pigment. And she's a little bit shimmery. And I've seen people do this on white cardstock. Now I picked Crumb Cake because that was a good color for their skin tone, so I don't have to do anything to the faces. And because I don't want to do anything to the faces. I just want the faces just to be the way the artist depicted them. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not a good enough artist to do Mary and Joseph's face in particular. Okay, so I come over here and there's a little bit on her arm. And then I get Joseph, I get a little bit more shimmer in there. And I need a little bit more water. Tap it on my towel so it's not too much water, because this is not watercolor paper. So I do not want it to get too wet. Just mix the colors, or the pigment ink, with the Wink of Stella. Now some people will paint directly with their Wink of Stella brush, and which is perfectly fine, because you can get the pigment ink off of there. It's not easy, but you can wipe it off. You know, I just prefer to do it this way myself. But you can use your Wink of Stella brush to do this painting technique. You might hardly ever need more, but I think I do need more of my pigment ink. And if I put too much on here, it's no big deal, because this pigment ink, the last time I did this, it stayed damp for days. Too dark. Thin that out. And I personally love a flat brush, because you can do broad strokes. This is a small flat brush, not a large one. You can do broad strokes, and you can do very fine strokes by just turning the brush on its side, and you can get really pretty fine things. And I'm probably going to do his staff with that colored pencil, I think. Because I do want that to be brown, so I'm just going to do that in brown real lightly, not real heavy. But I'm going to do his staff a little bit. Okay, now Baby Jesus, I need more Wink of Stella, because I want him, oops, I took the whole top off. It's not a good idea. There we go. Like I said, I wanted him to be a little more glistening. So I've already got some white pigment ink on here, so I'm going to go into my Wink of Stella, and I'm going to paint him in his swaddling clothes, pretty much Wink of Stella, maybe a touch of white here and there, but I want him to look, you know, special on this. And already Mary, she's not quite as dark as I want her to be in her clothing. So I'm just going to bring a little bit more of the white into Mary. On top of that, because like I said, it dries and you can see the folds in her garments. You can see it through this, and she's sparkly too. So I'm pretty much done with that. So this part I'm not real happy with. I'm going to put some water on there gently. I'm not super happy with that part. It'll probably dry okay. Okay, so that's the painting technique using white pigment ink. Okay. You know, you could do your Baby Jesus the way you want. I just wanted him to be a little different than the parents. And then I would use a different sentiment. Use for unto us a child is born. And I'm going to stamp that in early espresso. I'm going to put it right over here. Whoops. Get a little ink right there. Don't want that. Okay, for unto us a child is born. And I think I want a little bit more. I'm going to put some gems on there, but I'm going to pull in some of the stars. Put them on the other side. I got too much other stuff going on there. And I'm just going to put some stars over here. Okay. All right, so I'm not going to glue this on yet because I want you to see the other one that we're going to do first, because once I tried this, I didn't think of it till like 11 o'clock last night. You know, I always get my best ideas late at night. But I'm going to take that big stamp that I put right here, and I am going to use my embossing buddy all across this, because I'm going to do embossing. Now I could emboss in white, I could emboss in black or gold. I've already done, maybe I'll do gold this time, because I've already done the metallic copper in this one. I did metallic copper, which looked good. You know, I liked it. So first, I am super generous with my Versamark. Okay, the special glue that helps that holds that embossing powder on. I am really inking this up with my Versamark. And again, I'm going to stay over on the right, and I'm going to watch where his head is, Joseph's head, because I don't want to cut off his head, but cutting off the bottom of her garment is not that big a deal. So that did a really good job of putting the Versamark on there. Okay, so now I'm going to use gold this time. Whoops, wrong one. I'm going to use gold this time. And I'm going to sprinkle this liberally over them, because most of this is going back in the jar. Of course, you've probably watched embossing lots of times. Tap it off. Don't see, I see a few. Let me get a brush. I see a few little flecks in here that I would like to take out. Okay, other than that, it looks pretty good. Okay, so I just take my paper. I always do this on a piece of paper. Some people use a coffee filter, whatever. You can just pour it back in your jar. Maybe you have the embossing kit. Those are fabulous too. Okay. So I'm going to use my reverse tweezers to hold this. And I'm going to turn my heat tool on under my table. Let it heat up for just a minute. And I'm going to heat up this embossing powder. And then we'll paint a little bit on that. I probably won't paint all of it because I just showed you how to paint. But you can see that you just do this gently and slowly. Keep it moving because you don't want it to go too far. You just want it to get, as soon as it starts turning and getting shiny, and I don't know if you can see, it's starting to get shiny. And that means it's done. When it's all shiny. So I'm moving it to the parts that aren't shiny. Just over that just a little bit. Oops, right there on his hand. There we go. Okay, I didn't quite get that hand. Oh, down at the bottom. I see that I didn't get that. There we go. Okay. Alright, so now, as you can see, it's really glossy, and that's embossed, and it's also raised a little bit, which helps keep the ink inside the lines. Okay, so I go back with my brush again, and I've got my Wink of Stella, and I've got my white pigment ink, and I'm going to start painting over Mary's clothes. Now you notice I didn't do the hair first because I'm going to do it second. And I'm going to use some ink to paint the hair this time. That's how I would paint. I'm not going to do the whole thing because I already did the whole thing for you one time. You get the idea. But I would use more Wink of Stella. One. Oh, there it is. Squirt some more Wink of Stella on there because Baby Jesus gets a little more Wink of Stella than everybody else. And then to do the hair this time, I took pecan pie, not early espresso. I took pecan pie, and I just take a block and I dab it on here, and I get some pecan pie, and I'm going to get my brush clean with my water. Don't ever leave your brushes in the water. It'll loosen the glue that's holding these brushes in, and they'll fall apart. so don't leave your brushes in the water. Just rinse them out and then set them to the side. So I'm just going to use this pecan pie to put in her hair and Joseph's hair. And that goes pretty smoothly. And you can even do it that way with the other one. I just wanted to show you that coloring technique. But this is a really great technique too, using your inks. And these are water color inks, water soluble. And actually his mouth shows up a little bit better there. So that, I've finished that, and then what I did on this one is I stamped my sentiment. I put some twine behind it. It was about 14 inches, and I just looped it up and put it in a figure 8 and looped that behind there to make that one. Clean out the brush. So I would finish this. I really like this technique with the embossing a lot. And I think it's probably, I like it better than just the stamping that I did. But I did finish this stamping one, so that's the one I'm going to put on today. And I am just going to glue this on, and then I'm going to pop up the whole piece on the card. I'm just going to glue this on. You just place it so it's even on all the sides. They fit right together. They just practically do it themselves. And I've got some Stampin' dimensionals here. And just tear these off real quick. Bring my card base back in. We already have the inside done. We put our background paper on so that our focal point will show up really well, and put the dimensionals on. Now I added, and I've got some other samples here to show you too. I added some gems. One of the gems that's available right now are streaked dots, and these are kind of in between. They're not quite early espresso, but they're not pecan pie, really. But I would put graduated sizes of gems. I guess these won't only have 2 sizes. I thought they had 3. I would put some gems on there. I had some, on this one I had some old sparkle gems in pecan pie that I put on, and I still have some of these. I really like them, but they're not available anymore. So I would add that to my card, okay? And I wanted to share not only the measurements, but some other samples with you today. So here, if you would like, there we go. You can take a screenshot of these samples. Let's see, I'll put one with the one where we stamped in crumb cake and painted, and then one where we did the embossing and the painting. And I obviously got more white. I didn't get enough white on her in that one. I would go over that again and get her dress more white. Like I liked the way this. I must have had more pigment on my brush than I did in that one. Not enough. So I would make her more white. The dress more white. So early espresso, 8.5 by 5.5. Your card base scored at 4 1/4. Branching out die number 1, which is the largest of the branching out dies. You need about 5.5 by 4 1/4 piece of early espresso. Crumb cake, or you can use basic beige. 5.5 by 4, cut with branching out die number 2 for this size. It's the second largest die, and 5 by 3 3/4 for the inside that you'll stamp. The designer series paper I pulled from Autumn Toile, although I pulled this one from Woven Textures, from that set to get this one. And the embellishments, you can add gold flower accents, you can add the streak dots, you know, whatever you've got that kind of goes with it. Anyway, so go ahead and take a screenshot of that. And I was going to show you a couple other examples I did. So I did some in blue. I did it with Night of Navy, and I thought this was just very simple, very elegant, the way this one came out. And I had white cardstock, basic white, and then I had Night of Navy behind it, and then this paper here with the stars is from last year, so of course it's retired, but it was in my Christmas stash and it was stars. So even though the gold stars didn't go with my blue and silver motif, I thought it still looked pretty good. But I really liked the simple elegance. No painting, no coloring. It was just stamping with Night of Navy ink on basic white paper. And I thought that looked pretty good. And then I did some embossing with silver embossing powder, and I thought this turned out very pretty. I did this on Misty Moonlight, and again I pulled some paper, and this paper was available for it just recently went out of stock. Trying to remember what it's called. I have it back here. I set it over here. No. Winter Meadow. I wrote it down over there. Winter Meadow. So you might have some Winter Meadow, and I thought that looked, I wanted something behind it, something lighter, but I wanted some color, so I did Winter Meadow. I just pulled a pattern out of that, and I used these are actually gray pearls, but they looked really good on the Misty Moonlight. Okay, and so then I cut a piece for the inside, and this stamps are all out of the Child is Born set. When they saw the star, they rejoiced. So that was a really elegant card too. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll just do it in some gold embossing. So I used Very Vanilla on this, and again, this paper in the background is from last year. One of the Christmas papers we had, and so these gold starry patterns did go with this really well. And I used these gems are from this year, from the flat Traditions of Christmas, and so I embossed on Very Vanilla and I used the gold powder. And you can see that, how shiny it is. It says, "Oh come, let us adore him." And then these are still available. these are the dragonflies and birds, and I think I linked those. But I put a bird up here because, you know, in a lot of churches the dove, you know, symbolizes the Holy Spirit, and I thought that would be, you know, a nice touch to put the bird up there with that. And then I put all is calm, all is bright, and I used the little baby lamb again on that. So those are some of the alternates to this card. You can just do it in, you know, natural tones, or blues look really good. I mean, I'm sure you could do it in just about anything that you like. I mean, there's certain colors you like. I think the embossing really makes it stand out nicely, although one of my favorites I think was the Night of Navy on white, just because it looked elegant, and I liked that. There we go. Okay, so thank you for sticking with me today. I appreciate your time. I hope you love these cards as much as I do. This stamp set, A Child is Born, is in, oh, is it online exclusives? I didn't write it down. I can't remember. It's either in the catalog or it's in online exclusives, so one of the two. But I did link the product in my list, and you can just click right on that link and it'll go right to it, on those blue links that I have. And hopefully you'll want to make some of these cards. I had a lot of good feedback from some of my friends that they said, oh, that's the one I want for Christmas, you know, and so I know I'm going to be making several of these, and that I think people will enjoy, and I hope you did too. Next week we're going to be doing a fun fold again. This was just a flat fold, but we'll be doing a fun fold again, and I hope you'll join me again next Monday at 9 o'clock. All right, we'll see you then.